again, good afternoon, everybody. Thank y'all for coming out.
Hey, what's up?
In our summertime shade and breeze, this is our 13th or 14th YMC corner class. This is our second time in Baltimore. We've been around the country teaching this free real estate class outside, a different environment, really relaxed. As our way, as an organization, and me as a leader of the organization, our way to offer repair to our community, especially when it comes to economic repair. So the thought for the corner class is to make it as easy as possible for people to come out to be able to get some level of financial gain, especially centered around real estate, homeownership, investing, and how that benefits us as a community. So one of the big things that, like, you know, we had our how to stop gentrification training this morning downtown to Sheridan. We do a lot of education, a lot of real estate. And so what's dope about it for me is that as I teach so much and I'm engaging so much, I'm learning things every week, all the time. I'm learning new things. I'm learning new points to hit on. I'm learning just new bits of information. As we are developing properties throughout the country, I'm learning new things about real estate and development and business. And so I always give back and transfer back that information to our people as often as possible. And I believe that's like the truest give back. And this week I was on Fox News. We did a really big interview that's been going wild over the internet. And the interview was a debate about my feelings, which echoed the feelings of the majority of our people on how we're treated in this country by the government and our repair. And so the king that I was debating, he was saying, well, what about how we treat ourselves, what we do to ourselves, and our own accountability, which I totally am all for. All for our own accountability to ourselves as a community. That doesn't mean I forget about the perpetrator of the condition in which our community was put in, literally put in. So this class for me means so much because, again, this is us taking accountability for ourselves and our own repair, our own education, which is why you all are out here and why I'm dedicating this time to be here as well, because I believe that we have to intentionally repair ourselves. And so I love real estate because it's one of the easiest business models in the world. I think it's one of the fastest ways to generate family wealth, right? So I'm going to ask you guys today, as we get into that, why real estate for you? Like, what are the reasons that you guys are out here today or have been interested in real estate? Why does real estate make sense? Why is this attractive? Anybody?
Oh, now, ready?
Now,
okay.
Yeah, question, now. Question, my bad, threw y'all off. Boom.
All right, well, my name is Lauren.
How you doing, Queen?
Wonderful, how are you?
Great.
So I was invited by my sister, Shaquetta. But for me, honestly, like, I'm not from here. I'm from New Jersey, and coming to Baltimore and seeing the condition of so many of the different neighborhoods and blocks honestly caused an emotional reaction for me. It's hard.
It's bad. It's horrible.
It's very difficult to see. Aside from knowing what many of the people of this city are going through, but even just my own personal struggles, you know, having to live with family and not really being on my feet, and it's like seeing so much that's available that is in that condition on purpose. And so for me, it's really important to learn information and gather more knowledge about how real estate works, specifically right now for myself and my 5-year-old daughter.
Gotcha.
I don't want her to have to live through the same struggle that I did, trying to figure out where she's going to live, trying to figure out how she's going to work, how she's going to go to school, and all of that thing at the same time. If I can have something in place for her by the time she gets to that part in her life.
Right. So I like that. So I want you to go off tripod and just actually move around. Please, thank you. So going like kind of what I said, what Queen was saying is really long-term family wealth. Right? It's an asset. This is like one of the most basic assets we all can have, and I can tell you why. Now show of hands real quick. Who here lives somewhere? Raise your hand if you live somewhere. You don't live nowhere, King? I said, who here lives somewhere? Okay, making sure. I'll make sure, you know, if you're homeless, we want to take care of you. Everybody lives somewhere, right? And quite frankly, even those who are unfortunate and are homeless, they live somewhere. Even where they live, on the side of the bridge or the side of the street, it's still real estate. So everywhere you go, no matter how you look at it, it's still real estate. So the easiest thing that we all can do, the smartest thing we all can do, is to simply own the roof over our heads, because that roof is an asset that, what we say, appreciates, right? That appreciates in value. What's that mean? What's that? Huh? Not shine. What do you say?
Increases in value.
Increases in value. It appreciates in value, meaning it goes up in value over time. So, the one simple thing we gotta understand is that since we gotta live somewhere anyway, to simply prioritize, see, the biggest thing is that we all know this, we don't prioritize it. We prioritize the Beyonce concerts, we prioritize the new J's coming out, we prioritize school, we prioritize everything else but the roof over our head and owning it. So if we prioritize simply owning the roof over our head, simple, making that a priority, it goes up in value over time and therefore becomes a family asset. So when your 5-year-old daughter is now your 25-year-old daughter, the property you bought 25 years ago is now worth triple or quadruple the value. So it simply is a smart move, being that we all have to live somewhere anyway. It's not like you're forcing the asset. You're not forcing it, you gotta live somewhere. So instead of being the tenant, you're gonna be the lord of the land. Why else do you buy real estate? Queen? That's exactly what I was thinking. Cash flow. When you start to own real estate, it's a great business model, great source of what's called residual income, passive income, cash flow, which we're going to talk about in our next little flip. Why else do we buy real estate? Yes, sir.
I'm big into education, and then in America, we
Say that again? Gotcha. Brought this point up. I haven't even brought that point up. Very good point. Is that when you own real estate in your community, your local schools and roads are all funded through your property taxes. So when you see city schools like Baltimore and Philly that are underfunded, usually there's a lot of vacant properties as well. The city has a tough time funding properties when they're not getting tax revenue from the property taxes. So when you have, instead of there being vacant homes, you have home ownership and property taxes being paid, that's more revenue and more capital for the city to work with in regards to repairing the community or uplifting the schools. Very, 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 very good point. So we're going to call that community revenue. Community or city revenue. Why else? Why is it so important for us to own real estate? Absolutely. Right. And really what that boils down to is a sense of self-worth. When you own the property, you typically going to take care of it more. And it's a residual effect for the whole community. Right? I'm going to give you guys another one. Tax benefits. When you own your property, you get tax benefits, tax advantages, tax write-offs on certain elements of your mortgage interest, capital depreciation on the property, and other things your accountant can help you with, but you do get tax benefits from simply owning your property. As opposed to the alternative, right? You gotta live somewhere anyway. So you're gonna own your property and you're gonna be, not to mention control and power, right? You actually, so all you know, when you own a piece of real estate, you own the property, the building, right? You also own the land below the building or on your acreage. You own the mineral rights of that land, meaning if you got fruits, vegetables, oil, gold, silver, you own all that. And you own the air rights above the real estate. If you want to build up, you own that air above your house. So real estate provides control of that land, those mineral rights, and that air. So for control and power, so we'll put that as well. Which is why our communities are so easily re-gentrified, or gentrification happens, because we have no control and power. We don't have any ownership. So these are the reasons in which I and our organization come back so assertively to teach us this, because this is like the basics. Like this right here, if everyone in our community prioritize and start to implement these things, we have a more financially astute community. It'll help our schools, it'll help our kids, it'll help us as individuals build family wealth, etc., etc., etc. So I want to give you guys some examples of how it looks and then how we can do it, right? And again, we do this to overemphasize and hopefully draw the conclusion for you all about how simple and how profitable it is in the industry. And there's different levels to it, right? It's basic home ownership, then you get into investing wholesaling, investing flipping, investing holding, right? So many levels to it. So we talked about the why. Let's talk about the how. The how we actually own, how we acquire, etc. So one thing that I don't know how it went missing, I think it's because when you think about it, no one teaches us how to do real estate. Unless you have parents that were in it and really got it, don't learn it in college. So I think so many basic principles fly over our head because it was just never taught. And I think it was intentionally never taught because if we all knew it, we all have more control and more wealth and more power in our community. One of the biggest things I think that we don't do is very simple. You got to understand who the experts are in the industry and who you go to for what. So if you're looking to purchase a property, you're looking to build wealth, you're looking to get started here, one of the biggest things is you're going to need some what?
Money.
Right. Everybody got that one. You're going to need some money. So when you need money to finance a house, who do you go to? Right. So we'll talk about one of our biggest needs is money. You go to banks, mortgage companies, same thing with another name, mortgage brokers, mortgage bankers, credit unions, all places in which you can go to get financing for properties. One of the biggest things that we do, that I see happen in our community, is we make up every excuse as to why we don't buy or why we can't buy. So outside of money, what are other reasons that stop us from, as a community as a whole? Because right now we're in last place in home ownership. Education. Credit. Huh? Is it maintenance? Maintenance. Fear. Time. You got time. You got time to live. If you're living, you're living somewhere. So you got time to live under the roof over your head. We say it's credit, right? We say that it's knowledge. We say all these things, we say that it's money. But let me ask you this. Who here has traveled somewhere outside of Baltimore, Maryland? Show of hands. Think, where do you travel? North Carolina, Florida, California? Cool. Did you eat when you went to North Carolina?
Yeah.
Did you eat in California? You from California?
No, I'm from Baltimore.
How'd you eat?
I paid for it.
How'd you figure it out? How you know where to go?
I just saved it.
How you know where to go though?
No.
Google? Okay. How about you, Queen? Where you been? Texas? You from Texas? Did you eat in Texas? How'd you know where to go to eat? Your family told you? Okay, so you need resources? Okay. Who else traveled? King, where you been?
California and also Utah.
In Utah? Yeah. I've never been to Utah. You from Utah?
No.
Did you eat when you were in Utah?
Yeah.
You ate food?
Yeah.
How'd you figure out where to eat in Utah?
Family.
Family?
Yeah.
They figured it out?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. How about you, King?
I've been to Alaska, Bahrain.
Alaska? Okay. You said Bahrain? What the hell's that?
UAE.
Okay. Dubai?
Croatia.
Croatia? Did you eat in Croatia? You ate in Croatia? How'd you figure out where to eat in Croatia? You walked around? You figured it out, huh? So my point being is that you can put us anywhere in the world and we figure out how not to starve. But we gonna say that credit or education is what's stopping us from owning real estate. That's not what's stopping us. If you really want to figure out how to fix your credit, you would. If you really want to figure out how to eat in Croatia, you will. If you really want to figure out the how-tos to real estate, you sit your butt down, you ask family, you walk around, you use Google. You'll figure it out. It's the fear is why we don't own enough real estate. We fear the responsibility. That's all it boils down to. 90% of us who don't own real estate is because we fear the responsibility. Second reason is we don't prioritize it because we'd rather instant gratification. We'd rather a new car or a new bag than a new house. If you simply make it your priority and make it worth it to you, or realize how worth it is to you, you make different decisions and different moves that would feed you for a lifetime. So we save money, right? So we know we can go to bank. So your first stop in looking to purchase a home is going, I would suggest everybody go to 3 mortgage companies. Because one might tell you some BS that's going to frustrate you. Do it again, because you didn't hear what you want to hear. But I would go to 2 or 3 mortgage companies, mortgage brokers, mortgage bankers, and what you ask is to get pre-qualified. You have to get pre-qualified for a home loan. And so they're going to ask you for a bunch of information. Your name, your license, your credit, your social. And then you're going to say, oh, no, I know my credit's not good, so I ain't going to do it. But how do you ever find out what you got to do if you don't never go through the process? And who made you the expert to even say your credit's not good enough for a house? You didn't even know that the banks are loaning down to a 580 credit score. You thought you had a 620, you thought that it wasn't good enough. Or you're going to say, I don't make enough money to buy a house. But you didn't know that you can buy a $100,000 house for $3,500. Or you can buy a $200,000 house for $7,000. But you thought it was 30 grand you needed. Or you thought you didn't make enough at work, but you didn't know that you could use Section 8 vouchers to buy a house. Or you could use future rental income to buy a house. So my whole point is that if you're not in the know, we got to stop putting up roadblocks and things that stop us from the process. So everyone's first process, if you're really serious about it, is getting pre-qualified through a bank. A bank's going to have stricter programs. A big charter bank will have stricter programs. We still should try. A mortgage company, a mortgage broker, a mortgage banker will be the most flexible of all. And then you see where you actually stand in the process of getting pre-qualified or pre-approved to own a home. The great part about it is whatever is missing from your equation, whether that be credit, you don't make enough money, or whatever it might be, you simply can fix or add on those things. If they say, look, you got a 520 condo. It could be 5 or 6 people on one loan. It might be 6 of y'all making $12,000 a year each. You got $72,000. You can have multiple people co-borrowers on one loan. Very unutilized, especially in our community. We'll watch the Hispanic community or other communities have 4 or 5 people in one house, and we'll say, oh, look at them piled into a house. While we sit in the projects with our big TV, they're owning an asset. Prioritizing the asset outside of multiple co-borrowers. Government or other. Vouchers like Section 8, disability, all could be used for qualifying for a mortgage, like income. You don't got to use Section 8 for a rental program. It's a housing program. We also talk about, again, we talk about low down payments. 1 second, thank you. Yep. Good. I got it. You see that? You see that? Yeah. So we talk about, I'm going to remind you though, if you want to buy, which in Baltimore this is a pretty decent house, you want to buy a $100,000 property, you're looking at 3.5% down payment, which means $3,500 down payment on a $100,000 house. But what makes it even better is that the city is giving away $10,000 grants for properties and closing costs. And I think the state has a program for students. If you got $25,000 in student loan debt or more, they're giving grants away for home ownership. Just work while you, there's all live where you work programs, etc. So if you really want it, it's out here. But this is, anybody can save this. I don't want to hear it. Tell your kids they're not getting J's this school year. They're getting Skippies. Anybody can save this if you really want it. So another thing that can be utilized is called future rental income credit. So I'm going to show you how that looks on the next page.